I hate to say it, but when it comes to Cybermen stories of the revival, even though there are a fair few, I have to remove some due to the fact that they're team-up stories. Take Doomsday, for example. It's more about the what if the Daleks and Cybermen faced off premise than letting the Cybermen shine on their own. And then there's Moffat's obsession with shoehorning the Master or Missy into everything. Whether it's Dark Water, Death in Heaven, or World Enough and Time, the Doctor falls. As entertaining as those stories are, they're more about the Master pulling the strings than the Cybermen themselves. So, when you strip those out, you're left with 4 proper stories to choose from. Welcome to the Snake Pit, where we're full of bile and venom. I'm your host, Snake Daemon, and today I'm looking at one of the revival's Cybermen stories that deserves a proper look: Rise of the Cybermen, the Age of Steel. The TARDIS crash lands in a parallel Earth, draining its power and leaving the Doctor, Rose and Mickey stranded for 24 hours. Naturally, they split up. Mickey goes in search of his parallel universe grandmother, and Rose and the Doctor stumble across a world where people have become slaves to Cybers Industries earpods. The big bad, John Lumic, is secretly converting homeless people into Cybermen prototypes, while his ultimate plan, a forced upgrade of humanity, is rejected by the President of Great Britain. Enter the Doctor, meddling as always, who joins forces with resistance fighters called the Preachers, led by a parallel version of Mickey, called Ricky. Lumic activates his earpods, turning the masses into his mind-controlled puppets and forcing them into his factories for conversion. The Cybermen storm Pete Tyler's mansion, and while the Doctor and Carter narrowly escape, they end up infiltrating Lumic's facility. It all culminates in a final showdown involving a Zeppelin escape, the emotional inhibitors of the Cybermen being turned off, causing them to realize the horror of their transformation, and Lumic himself being upgraded into the Cyber Controller. When you think about this story, you can't help but notice how heavily it borrows from classic Doctor Who. This one clearly takes a page out of Tomb of the Cybermen, arguably one of the best Cybermen stories of the 60s. Like Tomb, this two-parter delves into the horror of cyber conversion, explores the loss of humanity, and gives us a chilling mastermind pulling the strings. But it's not a bad thing, because while it wears its influences on its sleeve, Rise of the Cybermen, the Age of Steel still manages to carve out its own identity. The horror of the Cybermen is properly explored here. The moment where Jackie Tyler is converted into a Cyberman and doesn't recognize Pete is gut-wrenching, and the idea of humanity being reduced to mindless drones is just as chilling as it was back in Tomb. There's a real sense of dread, especially when the Doctor reveals that the emotional inhibitors are the only things stopping the Cybermen from breaking down entirely. It's not a perfect story, though. The pacing can feel rushed at times, and Lumic is a fairly one-note villain who's really just there to serve the plot. That said, the story does one thing right that's often missing in the revival: it gives Mickey a proper arc. By the end, he's no longer the comic relief or Rose's jealous boyfriend. He's a hero who finds his purpose in the parallel world, staying behind to fight the Cybermen and look after Ricky's grandmother. His decision to stay feels earned, and it's a great send-off for his character. Still, the parallels to Tomb of the Cybermen are undeniable. Both stories explore the same themes of dehumanization and the price of progress. But Rise of the Cybermen, the Age of Steel gives it a modern twist with the earpod angle. A timely commentary on humanity's over-reliance on technology. It's a fitting update for the Cybermen in the modern era, even if it doesn't quite reach the heights of the classic story that inspired it. And on that note, it's time to wrap things up, and remember, excellent doesn't mean what it used to. Thanks for dropping by the Snake Pit, where we thrive on untapped potential and lost opportunities. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell, like the video, and leave your opinions in the comments, where naturally I won't read them. Until next time, stay venomous.